Welcome to Wabba Sandwire. Today we're talking about Azmin Ali's strong reaction to the interception of the humanitarian aid ship.
Yeah, this is really blown up. It's not just some distant international incident. It's become a major flashpoint in Malaysian politics.
Right, we're digging into the political storm kicked off when that ship, the Global Solidarity Fleet, was intercepted and, critically, 17 Malaysian volunteers ended up detained.
Exactly. And Azmin Ali, wearing his hat as Selangor PN national chairman, really seized on this. He didn't just condemn it. He made some very specific, very aggressive demands aimed squarely at the unity government.
That political context is key, isn't it? I mean, we're seeing the opposition here using a serious international event involving Malaysian citizens to challenge the current administration head-on.
Absolutely. The fact that Malaysian citizens were detained makes it incredibly potent domestically. It's personal.
So what was Azmin's initial reaction? Just general condemnation?
Oh, it was much stronger than that. He expressed, his deepest concern and what he called the most severe condemnation. He framed the detention as a gross violation of international law.
Okay.
And also, importantly, as an insult to the kind of humanitarian values Malaysia often talks about promoting. He's definitely taking the high ground there.
But it didn't stop at just condemning the act itself, did it? He turned the focus onto the government's response, or lack thereof.
Precisely. He basically said Malaysia can't just sit by silently, that being passive, while its citizens are held unjustly. Well, he framed that as a betrayal.
The betrayal of the people and national principles.
Yes, exactly. It's a classic political tactic, really. Frame inaction as a moral failure. He's using the plight of those 17 Malaysians to demand a level of government response that, frankly, goes way beyond your standard diplomatic note.
Let's talk about that assertiveness he demanded. Because he linked it directly to Malaysia's current international role, didn't he?
He did, and this is crucial. Malaysia is, right now, the rotating chair of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations.
ASEAN.
A big platform.
Huge. And Azmin basically demanded the unity government use this position to, and this is his phrase, show a firm stand. Be tough.
So not just Malaysia acting alone, but leading the whole region.
Yes. Lead ASEAN in a unified, strong condemnation of what happened. He's saying, use the chairmanship, show leadership, don't look weak.
Because the implication is that if Malaysia, as the chair, looks weak when its own citizens are involved, it undermines its credibility across Southeast Asia.
Yeah, that's exactly the angle. It becomes an issue of national dignity. He explicitly demanded the immediate release of the Malaysians, making sure they were safe and treated with dignity, arguing they mustn't be used as pawns by anyone. So it elevates it beyond just a consular issue or human rights. It's about Malaysia's standing.
Okay, I get the demand for a strong response regarding the detention. That seems understandable, even necessary. But then came the part that really sent ripples through diplomatic circles, the Trump invitation.
He didn't just focus on the intercepting forces. He brought the United States right into the middle of it.
He really threw down the gauntlet there, a very direct political challenge. He demanded that the government actually withdraw the invitation it had already sent to U.S. President Trump.
To attend the ASEAN meeting, one happening soon, like at the end of the month.
That's the one.
Wow. Hold on. Withdrawing an invitation to a U.S. president for a major regional summit? That's not just politics. That's playing diplomatic hardball at the highest level, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly high-risk diplomacy. Think about the planning, the security, the regional implications of a U.S. president attending an ASEAN summit.
It seems almost wildly impractical. I mean, even if you sympathize with the sentiment behind it.
Well, impractical or not, Azmin was stunningly direct. The phrase he used, which translates essentially to tell him not to come, that's pretty unprecedented language in Malaysian diplomacy directed at a superpower like the U.S.
Right.
He's deliberately forcing the government's hand. It's like, choose. Do you stand on this moral principle, or do you stick with pragmatic diplomacy and economic ties?
What was his justification for such a drastic step? You can't just uninvite a president without expecting some serious fallout.
He gave two main reasons, sort of tying morality and money together. First, the money angle. He said spending Malaysian taxpayers' ringgit to roll out the red carpet for Trump was, quote, unacceptable.
Ah, the taxpayer argument. Always effective.
Especially when linked to who you're hosting. He argued that money shouldn't be spent on those who, in his words, fuel oppressive actions.
Yeah.
That connects the big geopolitical issue right back to the average Malaysian's wallet.
Clever. And the second reason, the principle.
The principle, yeah. He basically suggested that hosting the U.S. president, especially so soon after this incident involving Malaysian citizens, would look like Malaysia was condoning the kind of aggressive actions happening in the region.
Making Malaysia complicit.
That's the implication. That hosting Trump would undermine any moral leadership Malaysia claims, especially as the ASEAN chair trying to condemn the interception, on the other hand. It creates a contradiction, you see.
But the potential blowback, surely that's huge. Alienating the U.S., a major trade partner, a security player in the region. Is the potential domestic political win worth that kind of international risk?
That's the tightrope the unity government has to walk. And Azmin knows it. He's calculating that the emotional appeal protecting Malaysians, defending national honor, might outweigh the fear of U.S. displeasure, at least in the public eye. For the opposition, looking principled and tough domestically could be seen as more valuable than avoiding diplomatic friction.
Let's circle back to his main theme, which seemed to be sovereignty. He kept calling the interception and detention an insult to Malaysian sovereignty. How does that framing play out here?
It plays very well, historically. There's a deep-seated sensitivity in Malaysia about sovereignty and external interference. By framing it this way, not just a tragedy, but an attack on the nation itself because its citizens were involved, he makes it an issue that cuts across political divides.
Right, it taps into national pride.
Exactly. And then comes the warning. If the government doesn't act firmly, meaning condemn and withdraw the Trump invite, Azmin says Malaysia risks harming its own people's interests and, quoting him again, tarnishing our national honor.
Tarnishing national honor. That's heavy language. It's basically an ultimatum, isn't it? Align foreign policy with this very specific, very strong moral stance, or be seen as failing the nation.
It puts immense pressure on the administration to prove where its priorities lie. Keep the invitation, and Perikatan Nasional will likely shout that they chose diplomacy over citizens' honor. Withdraw it, and face the diplomatic storm from Washington. It's a tough spot.
So this really brings it home for anyone watching this unfold. Thinking about Malaysia's role as ASEAN chair right now, is Azmin's hard line the necessary jolt to protect national pride and project strength? Or is it just too risky? Mixing this specific incident with top-tier global diplomacy, it really forces you to consider the priorities.
Yeah, the takeaway is pretty stark. Azmin Ali has very effectively cornered the government, hasn't he? He's linked this humanitarian crisis involving Malaysians directly to a huge foreign policy decision, the U.S. president's visit.
Right.
He's demanding that sovereignty and principle should just automatically override any concerns about diplomatic fallout or economic pragmatism.
So it's turned this awful incident into a real test of the unity government's entire approach to leadership, both domestically and within ASEAN. Are they going to be driven primarily by maintaining stability in relationships or by taking these kinds of strong, principled, but potentially disruptive stands? That's the question Azmin has forced onto the agenda.
The safety of the citizens might soften the public pressure slightly, but the fundamental challenge to the government's foreign policy integrity, that question of principle versus pragmatism regarding the U.S. visit, that still hangs in the air, looming over the ASEAN summit plans.
A really critical point to keep an eye on as that summit gets closer.
Indeed, it's far from over.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.